Hi, do tell. How quickly do you want people to judge you? You're tired, your cat is very sick, the school just called and Junior got into a fight, and on top of it all, you just learned your employer is downsizing. You snapped unpleasantly at someone in the store. This has happened to all of us, and in this video, I'm going to give you some powerful ways to manage your mind and emotions so that you will have more peace and can give grace more easily to other people. We learn to size up situations quickly in order to survive. Is this dangerous or am I okay? But most of the time, we are safe. And once we know that, it's time to slow way down in our assessments. Turning the reactivity dial down is powerful for us and others. If we want grace in our lives, we must be able and willing to give it as well. There is a beautiful calm that can fall over an encounter when one or both parties are able to respond to something unpleasant in another person's behavior without judgment and without taking it personally. Think of a time that you've been upset by a stranger's behavior. On some level, we know we shouldn't let them get to us. But how do we get past our default reactions? Knowing something and being able to do it are two different things, unfortunately. The first step is to simply see the reaction we have. Then we can turn that dial down. This is something that we can train ourselves to notice and do. We make all kinds of excuses for ourselves, but not for others. It isn't true that a certain behavior or incident necessarily results in a certain response. Let me give you an example. There's a child at school. He has having a bad day and he curses at his teacher and kicks her in the shin and pulls somebody's hair. Three people looking at that situation might see three different things. One might say, wow, what a brat. That's a global assessment, okay? Another might say, wow, that child is really stressed. And another might say, this child seriously needs discipline. He's just undisciplined. The truth is, we don't know what's going on for that child, but chances are pretty good that he isn't evil. His behavior in that moment was not all of his behavior. It's the same for adults. We have our moments. Our assessment or judgments are what controls our emotional response. When an event occurs, like someone gives you an unfriendly hand signal on the highway for no apparent reason, it is much like that child acting out. We don't really know what's behind it. We just know it doesn't feel good, and we're being blamed. Nobody likes that. If we react in kind because we judge them to deserve that, we put ourselves at the same level and do no good. When our own behavior isn't great, we don't want to be judged globally as a thus and such kind of person. None of us is all good or all bad. We like to have a second chance and to have all our good moments remembered. The reason it's important to judge slowly is simple. If we don't, we will make faulty assessments and mess up our relationships, or at least mess up our emotions. In my videos, I'm encouraging us to higher, more mature, loving ground. Not only is there a great payoff for ourselves in this effort, but there is payoff for those around us. We can't change others, but we can make good decisions for ourselves and maybe even rub off on people. Example isn't the best teacher, it's the only teacher. If you have kids, they're watching you and learning. One time when I was studying for medical school, I told my friend, who is now my husband, that he could come over and we could go on a walk at a certain time. I worked and watched the clock. Once the arrival time had come, I couldn't concentrate anymore because I knew the doorbell upstairs might ring at any moment. He didn't come and he didn't come, and he was very late. Back then, it seemed like every minute of study time counted, and I was losing some of that precious time. Finally, he showed up. We started on our walk. I was irritated, and as we walked, it didn't take me too long to start telling him I had very little spare time and that when he was so late, it really messed up my schedule. I went on about it until I'd said my piece. When I got quiet again, he nicely said, "Is there anything else?" Oh my gosh, who responds so politely to complaints? It shifted my mood immediately. I said, "No." Then he asked, "Can I tell you what happened?" Uh, well, yeah, that could be reasonable, right? As I listened to his saga of misfortune, it was so clear that it was out of his control, and he hadn't called because his phone was lost in the ordeal. It was so understandable. Hmm, long silence. He then asked me if anything like that happened in the future, would I ask him about it before I got upset? Well, yeah. I never forgot that conversation because it was so humbling. He was the cool one. I judged the situation, didn't check out the facts, and felt dumb. What would happen if we all slowed down with the judgments? Have you ever been misunderstood and wished you could make your own case on your own behalf? I'm pretty sure we can all say we have. So when we see others mess up, if we can give them patience instead of judgment, we all win. We are calm and they get to be human. I'm sure most of us have seen the little videos where someone is acting like a jerk, but then they put a little explanation below the person explaining what's going on with them. Then the person's behavior becomes way more understandable. Sometimes we move from disgust at them to compassion. We all act the way we do for a reason. I want to be really clear here. I'm definitely not saying that any behavior is fine. It isn't. If you're in a relationship or situation where you're mistreated, advocate for yourselves or get out of it. We can always be free to judge what's okay for us in how we are treated in a relationship. Abuse of people or animals is not okay. I'm talking here about what we experience around us that may not even affect us personally. The little things that steal our peace. So many people share their own judgments about a coworker, a fellow student, or a neighbor. Even if 100 good things have been observed, our human nature wants to talk about the negative thing. We want to feel justified in our feelings. The question is that what we want others to do when they observe something negative in us? It isn't. So many things we experience and see on a day-to-day basis are none of our business, and definitely not our place to judge. In my practice and in my life, I encounter people all the time who are worked up about what someone else did or appeared to do or think. We don't know what others are thinking. The cues we form our opinions on have been shaped by our own experiences, our own families, and our own way of thinking, and our own encounters with others. Our opinions can seem super right and true to us and really be quite off base. I know, I've experienced this myself many times. For this reason, two people often see the same thing and have totally different opinions about what they just saw. like with a child. If we observe but put judgment aside, life gets less complicated and more peaceful. As my friend Lee would say, not my monkey, not my zoo. I think that's really funny. Sticking to the facts we know is one way to slow our judgments down. Usually, we don't have a whole lot of them. At best, we only have some of the pieces of the whole. People are complicated, so judgments that are quick and global, like he's an idiot, are inherently faulty. That kind of judgment is not fair. It is fair to say so and so did something I didn't like. That's accurate. Judging less requires loving more. Loving more means thinking about others and considering what may be going on for them, or simply admitting that we don't know what's happening with them. If something is our business because we're affected by it directly, then we collect facts before drawing conclusions, just like I didn't do that night I was studying. Personal growth comes with intention, effort, and God's help. Simple steps can affect big change, but not overnight. If we're willing to look honestly at ourselves and be patient with ourselves, then we can grow. Growing people become more and more empowered to make change in their own lives and more able to influence the lives of others. Growth is a worthy pursuit. Most of us are aware of our own weak spots. I, for one, can be impatient, more direct than some people like, or just selfish. Our weak qualities don't make us bad, they make us human. Do you judge the behaviors of others slowly? And what are your strengths that you can develop even more? Whatever your answers are, you are one whole person who is lovable and capable of growing in maturity and love. We all are. It is okay to judge a behavior, just not the motive or the person. We aren't privy to all that. Hopefully, others will learn these things from us. Here's a quote from the Message version of the Bible. Don't pick on people, jump on their failures, criticize their faults, unless, of course, you want that same treatment. That critical spirit has a way of boomeranging. It's easy to see the smudge on your neighbor's face and be oblivious to the ugly sneer on your own. Do you have the nerve to say, "Let me wash your face," when your own face is distorted by contempt? Ah! Yikes. It's always great to laugh about the grouchiness of others or how we would have done something very differently, or how we would never have said or done something. It's also good to know that we're just as fallible as anyone. We just don't all mess up in the same ways. Grace is good. It is humble and kind. That's what I want from others when I mess up. How about you? Check out the How to Set Goals video right here because it dovetails perfectly with this video and will assist you in letting your beautiful light illuminate your mind and this world.